Hello everybody, this is Rahul from Opus. Today we are going to discuss about how to draw a figure, basically a clothed figure from start to finish. Typically, when you see a figure, you have to understand how you can break it down into very simple shapes so that you can later build upon and add other complex details like the folds of the clothes, anatomy of the body, and various other accessories and hairstyles. But to start with, you shall always see the figure as a very simple forms. Like if I see at this figure, I see a major angle on this side, on this side, on this side, and this side. So this shows the dynamic angles and the flow of the various body parts, which helps us construct the figure in the given pose. So if I have to break the figure into various simple forms, first I will draw very simple lines which will just give me the flow of how the figure is sitting, and do not worry about other details. So once you get that and you see that most of the things are in place, then you can think of the figure into much more deeper or a little more advanced shapes. So see here I will be giving very random lines, so don't worry about how it is going to look like, because after as we move forward we will be erasing these lines and also trying to make a final neat and clean drawing. Okay, so let's start with the face. Suppose this is the area where I would be drawing the face itself, and this is the angle of the face itself. Okay, now if I look at the torso at in a broader term, it is a shape like this which ends here. I hope all of you can follow. Then after this, seeing this torso, we will look at the thigh area, which is this portion. So let's consider it as just a shape itself which will cover the thigh region, and then the leg portion which is somewhere here, and the other leg which is somewhere here. Then for the foot we will just give simple shapes to help us understand where its position shall be. Okay, no more details shall be considered at this point of time, because you might get lost. So I will give some rough indication of where the hands, and then give like a circle to make us understand, okay, that this is the region where our hands finger ties upon each other. After that you can give the area, some details about the seat or the chair in which the figure is lying. Very loose lines and no amount of detail is required at this point of time. You will see I have a rough indication of how the figure looks like or how the figure's pose is, but I haven't added any details at this point. So this is my roughly stage 1. After I get this stage, then what you can do, if you are drawing on paper, you can just slightly erase the initial rough lines, and here I will toggle with my opacity because it is possible in the software, and then over that you can start giving some detailed lines which will further improve the details of the figure. So see, like here I'm slowly starting to give certain facial features, but I'm not going into the very absolute details, just a little detail which is little more than the previous drawing. Then I will start adding some details about the cloths and its fold, like how it is folding. You shall always try to attempt these folds in one go, because that will also give you confidence, and also your drawing will have certain amount of liveliness which is very much required so that your drawing stands out. So see, I am not focusing on the exact wrinkles. I'm just trying to get the flow and the feel of how the cloth is, which is more than enough for a drawing in the examination. Because in examination you won't have much time to spend in one single drawing. So I will leave this area for now because it is little complex, and I will come back to it later after I finish my entire figure. So that is another thing to understand, not to get bogged out into one single details for a very long. First, to have a rough like a good idea or a good sketch of the entire figure, then you can go for the intricate details like the nose, facial features, fingers, and other things. So this is how you can also manage time and also create a good drawing as required. So here you see you can add certain lines which will give you a good ideation of how the boot shall be. Sometimes you might have trouble in getting the right proportion, so you can erase multiple times and redraw it. So I would advise whenever you draw with a very light tone so that you have the option to erase multiple times, and also at the same time your drawing does not start looking dirty. So here you see I am almost into the getting the final feel of the figure itself. Always remember, like when you are drawing a figure, each portion of the figure is mostly symmetrical, and therefore the exact proportion shall be present in most of your uh, uh, parts on the left and the right, be it hands, shoes, and various other things. Okay, now as I have this, now I can slowly move into the other details. Let's finish with the face first. So to start with, suppose if this person is having the goggles, you can give a rough indication of where this goggles shall be placed. Then the ears, then you give the hair. So see, I am trying to give the major blocks, major shapes first. I'm not going into the directly into the eyes first, which is the mistake various beginners makes. Then I can go for the nose, just plain and simple lines, not exact details at this point, because you are trying to give an impression of the figure, not a hyper realistic drawing, which is not mostly needed in the exam, because they want to see how your skills are, not your how you create a masterpiece. So you can give some love flowing lines here, which will indicate the flow of the hair. After this, I can go for the shape of the goggle, shape of the glass, which is typically mostly a little bit rounded and with certain amount of decorations. After you got this, then you can give certain jaw lines and with some rough indication of the beard. And now I can move on to the fingers, which is intertwined. So for this, I would suggest you first start with the thumb, give the impression of the thumb, then slowly part by part as you draw stairs, you can give the shapes. See, I am not going for the exact break of the bones here, because I will first give the shapes which is required to understand the overall structure of how the hands are intertwined. Then I can go for the other finer details like the structures of the bones. So I would recommend all the beginners who are trying to do not go for various like hyper anatomical details at the first stage. Try to manage within just simple shapes to draw the figure, because it is not feasible during the exam to go for such hyper realistic drawings. And if you doing things for your own for a gift or for your own satisfaction, then when you have ample time, then you can go for such hyper-realistic drawing. Here, and good indication with very neat and clean lines will do your job. So see, finally we have arrived at a figure which gives us a good impression that this figure is sitting on a chair with a cushion, and with the right we got the right feel, and also the proportion, almost the right proportion, which is more than enough to give an impression that one person is sitting on a cushion in the given pose we intended to depict. So this like if you start practicing like this, and keep on practicing, the more you practice in this method, you will get better at your own your lines and other artistic anatomic understanding. But when you start drawing figures, you shall always think how you can manage the figure with very basic and simple lines, so that you can manage the time well, and also you don't get lost in only one figure, only one drawing for a long period of time, because usually beginners makes that mistakes. After I got this one, then I can go for other finer wrinkles of the clothes if your time permits, and thus you can get a good neat and clean drawing. So in this, figure drawings are mainly useful in design examination, where you have to compose various scenes or various like subjects, where you might need to add a figure in a given pose or in a given action. So the more you practice, like this kind of figures in various actions and various poses, the more your understanding of the human figure drawing gets clear, and you will be able to draw various figures at a very short period of time to make others give the impression that you have tried to compose a scene. I hope this lesson helps you a lot in figure drawing. Thank you.